CS2 is an extremely competitive game. The game comes from a long history of absolute sweatlords spending thousands of hours trying to become the best of the best. It is one of the most prolific competitive scenes of all time with some of the highest paid professionals in all of esports. This is why it shocked me when I queued for a quick match of Wingman and this happened. Look at him B-hopping, bro. Look at him B-hopping. There's no way, bro. And this single match led me down one of the craziest rabbit holes in all of gaming. But first, I should probably give you some backstory. In the beginning, God created light. Actually, wait, that might be a little too far back. Counter-Strike 2, or as it's better known, CS2, was first announced on March 22nd, 2023. This being 11 years since the last installment in the series, it was very long awaited. The premise was just a simple port of CSGO, the last game, into Source 2, Valve's new engine. Even in the beta, CS2 was on a rocky start. Many of the players in the beta said that the weapons felt very weird, more specifically the spray control. Now if you don't know, spray control is a very important mechanic in Counter-Strike. Spray control allows you to accurately kill multiple enemies in a single spray. This was not good PR for CS2. Immediately people started saying the usual, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because nobody really had a problem with CS2's graphics, and gamers are notoriously afraid of change. However, this was quickly drowned out by the people raving about the new light refractions or shadows. Also, many people came to the defense of CS2, saying that just because the spray patterns felt different, it didn't mean they were bad. Now, aside from spray control, there were many other issues with the game, like the extreme lack of content or some aspects of the game completely missing. Then, on September 27th, 2023, CS2 came out. Immediately, all of the sweatlords complaining about the game being different were drowned out by the casual players that just liked how the game looked. And I can't even lie, the game is beautiful now.
Oh, come on, man! Why does it say inflation?
But along with this new look came an expectation from the community to make the game better. But Valve was clearly in over their head. I mean, even today, there are still many maps missing and still no danger zone. Now, I'm not going to make the notion that CS2 made cheating worse, because CSGO already had one of the worst cheating problems in any game ever. But what I am going to say is that after getting Prime, I rarely saw cheaters in CSGO. However, in CS2, it's about a 50-50 chance you get a blatant cheater if you queue for Wingman. Anyways, back to my original story. I was just bored of playing casual, so I tried to queue for a quick match of Wingman. And before warm-up even ended, it was clear that we were going against a cheater. Immediately on the first round, my suspicions were confirmed when he started rage hacking and my teammate left. Look at him B-hopping, bro. I tried fighting back and even won a round, but my efforts were in vain as I lost 9-1. Just like how I would absolutely destroy pyrocynical in any competitive shooter because of my superior skills in everything in life, I am simply the better version of him. Now I know you're probably thinking, well, that's probably a rare occurrence, right? But just a couple games later, this happened. That's right, another cheater on the same map. This continued all throughout the night, and that night, I D-ranked from Legendary Eagle all the way down to Master Guardian 1. And I still haven't gotten my rank back up, even though I win most of my games. That night, I knew I had to figure out what was with Counter-Strike's cheating problem. Now, as somebody who regularly plays CS2, I was confused why I was just getting so many cheaters in Wingman, because I've never gotten a cheater in Premiere. I got the idea to look it up and find a Reddit post about the same topic, but when I checked the date, I saw that the post was 6 years old. This is when I truly realized that there has got to be a reason behind cheaters playing Wingman. I didn't really know where I could find a good source about cheaters, so I decided to go straight to them. I looked up the best cheating Discord servers and found a couple with a lot of members. The problem was that most of them didn't allow me to speak, which was very frustrating, but eventually I found a server that actually allowed me to speak. Now, I'm going to be censoring any names in this Discord server for privacy concerns, but in total, there were 1,700 members and over 100 online. Mind you, this was at 7 o'clock. I started looking through some of the messages, and even cheaters make fun of Valve. Just imagine you are in a war, and your opponent started laughing at how bad you were. I then learned that cheaters have very awful code words for things. Like, there's no way you couldn't think of a better code word for cheese than cheese. Also, apparently, even cheaters hate how cheaters have ruined Counter-Strike. I tried to ask some people on the server why they cheat, and why specifically on Wingman. Immediately, I got scared because I just realized I said I'm not a cheater to a server full of cheaters. But then I realized it's a very public server, and the rules didn't say anything against it. The problem is, cheaters aren't exactly the nicest people, and I know when I should leave things be. With nothing else to turn to, I had to go to the wild west of the internet. Reddit.
Oh! Ew! What the fuck?
It didn't take long to find a community, and I learned from my past mistakes and acted like a cheater. When I checked the next day, I had a few replies, most of which were jokes. However, a couple of people had serious responses, and they all followed the same line of thought. You cannot get kicked in Wingman, and it's a very similar format to a normal HVH match. Now that I knew why they cheated on Wingman, I wanted to find out what I was going up against. So I searched up free CS2 cheats. Immediately, I found a post from the same Reddit community talking about free CS2 cheats, but I was surprised to see only a couple of real answers. That's when I realized the post was 6 months ago, 1 day after the game came out. When I tried searching for a newer post, I saw a post asking how to get banned. This person has spent almost more time than me on the game rage hacking and hasn't been banned. Cheaters are more inconvenienced by players killing them than by a multi-million-dollar company's anti-cheat. Cheaters are so far ahead of the curve compared to Valve that worrying about the anti-cheat isn't even a thing anymore. Now knowing how bad Valve's anti-cheat was, I decided to look up how many people are banned every day, and I was immediately disappointed. I mean, in a game with this many active players, these numbers should be at least 10 times higher than they are. In order to prove to you all how bad the CS2 cheating problem is, I decided to run a little experiment. I decided to play 20 games of Wingman and see how many cheaters there were. Immediately in the first game, I was a little fishy. This guy was hitting every shot and seemed to know where we were. Sadly, it was very hard to tell until this happened. Now with cheats like ESP, it is almost impossible to just say they're cheating. Luckily, I downloaded the demo to watch from his POV, and yeah, I have to say he's cheating. Now obviously, I can't be 100% sure, but he was not playing like this in the beginning, and he had a couple other weird plays like this. Going on to my second game, I actually didn't get a cheater. What I did get was a tie, which made me want to blow my brains out.
What?
On to game 3, it was just another clean sweep. Finally, in game 4, this happened.
Guys.
Now this could just be a weird play, but it kept happening and my teammate called him out in the weirdest way. Eventually the hacker got tired and just full rage, but I still managed to put him down. Sadly, there's not much to do when a person has every cheat possible. The 5th game was probably the most fun of the challenge, that being because I got the same hacker from the last game. At first, I thought he was just gonna rage like the last game, but he ended up being really friendly, and so were the enemies. Overall, it was just a really chill experience. Yeah. The next game was an interesting one. I absolutely smashed these kids. And I actually think they thought I was cheating because they asked for my rank. After this, however, they never really brought it up again. The next players, however, were not as chill.
I was looking at them.
And of course, this was the game I popped off. I'm 90% sure they reported me as well because they just went silent in the second half. The 8th game, I got the same people as the 6th, and we stomped them, so yeah.
Edge Maxer's dream.
With TikTok, I know your attention span is probably running short, so I'm just going to summarize the rest of the games. Game 9, even though the opponents were a little weird, they weren't cheating. Game 10, I got the same cheater as the first game, and my teammate agreed that he was cheating. Game 11, I got the same guy, but on my team. Game 12, I was experiencing technical difficulty, so I left and rejoined, but by the time I did, my teammate toggled and was rage hacking.
And my teammate's cheating.
Luckily, I had money to buy an op, so I killed him and chilled with the terrorists while making fun of him. But sadly, this ended up getting me a temporary ban.
Don't even care, bro.
Game 13, no cheater.
Oh,
Game 14, blatant rage hacker. Game 15, no cheater.
Good match.
Game 16, I'm pretty sure this guy was walling.
Yep, like set my head through a wall. Interesting. Does it again. Alright. And I poop on him.
Game 17, I don't think they were cheating. Game 18, not only was there a cheater on my team, but 2 more cheaters against us. Game 19, no cheater. Game 20 was a very interesting one. Immediately, I was suspicious because this guy was only level 10 with 70 hours, but was hitting everything. Ugh. Other than cheating, there was only one explanation.
Oh my goodness!
So, yeah, he wasn't cheating. He's just weird. The problem was that my teammate was terrible and left after going 1 for 9. Luckily, the enemies were nice and let me knife fight for the last round. No! With that game over, here are the conclusions. In a total of 20 Wingman games, only 11 were 100% legit matches where nobody was cheating. 20% of the games, I believe somebody was using a cheat that's hard to surely say they're cheating, like ESP. And 25% of the games, there was either one or multiple blatant rage hackers. This means that in 20 Wingman games, it's almost a 50-50 that you either play with or against a cheater. Also, out of 60 people I played with, 7 were blatant and 4 were very likely cheating. This means that 18% of the players in my games were cheating. Now, because Wingman has so many more cheaters than other game modes and I have such a small set of data, it would be disingenuous to scale this 18% up to the entire CS2 player base. What I am going to say is, Valve, do you really think somebody playing for CS2 the first time on a non-Prime account is going to want to play the game more and possibly buy Prime? Because I know if I'm getting cheaters in almost half my Wingman games on a Prime account, then that kid is going to get even more in almost every game mode. And I'm not saying CS2 will never have cheaters, and especially so in non-Prime servers, but what I am going to say is that Valve really either needs to change their anti-cheat or create a whole new one as fast as they can to save this game. And so, my lesson at the end of the day is, Valve is absolute dog shit.